Welcome back to another video. One of the best things about the Aerophone is that there are endless possibilities for manipulating the sounds and layering the sounds. So you can really have some fun with this. I've been working on a couple of sounds. I'd like to show you exactly what I did with these sounds. I'll give you a quick demo first, so keep watching. I'm a big fan of that saw lead sound. I guess I was into those synth sounds in the 80s. Now there's a saw lead sound on the Aerophone. It's saw lead 2, and I quite like it. It's a little bit bright, kind of fizzy sounding for me. So if you select the saw lead sound, I think it's sound 41. And it sounds like this. It's a great sound, but for me, it's a little bit bright for a lot of the applications I want to use it in. I want to make something a little warmer sounding. Like you heard in the demo, the first chorus of Have You Heard? That's the sound I was using. Let's take a look at what I did to edit that saw lead 2 sound. Now, the first thing you need to do is connect up your app. So you need to plug in your iPhone or your Android device. You'll see in my other videos, we've done some basics on that already of how to kind of save sounds and get into the editor. So copy that saw lead 2 sound into one of your memory slots here on the Aerophone. And then if you open up the app, you'll be able to go ahead and edit that sound. Now, once you're in that sound, we're looking here on my iPad. This is what I've called Saw AP. So this is my version of that sound. And you'll be able to check out my settings here as I scroll down. So if you need to just pause and check some of those settings, you can do to get all the details. But here's the main points to get this sound. What I've done is I've left this filter offset here. I've left the cutoff where it was, which I think it was on -64, and I've moved the resonance down on that filter resonance. And then if you go to the MFX, the multi-effects, the delay, I think I pretty much left it as it was, but of course you can do that to your own personal taste. Where I've made some changes, where we get that smoother sound, I think, is, and I'm sure there are different ways of doing this, this is just the way I found it worked, on the equalizer. So this is great. I've got the equalizer set on the type here, Again, I think it was probably set to that originally. And I've made some changes. So this high frequency was here at 9, and I've set it to -12. So you can kind of click on these to move them, or you can open up a little slider that comes up to edit it like that. So the high frequency I've moved to -12, and then you can see my other settings here. The mid was, I think, at +6. And I've moved it way up to +15. Again, you can experiment with that and see which one you like. The mid 2, I think I left that where it was. And the low frequency, I boosted that slightly to +4. And that's it. That gives you that smoother, warmer sound. Just make sure you go back, and you'll want to do a right to the Aerophone. Press this right at the top here, and it'll come up and say write the tone to the edit buffer. It's a little bit long-winded way of doing this. Once you've done that, you need to go onto your Aerophone and do the usual saving procedure. That is, remember, hold down the menu key, keep it pressed down. It'll come up and ask you, do you want to save it, and which slot do you want to save it in? The other really great thing you can do on the Aerophone is you can layer sounds. Now, I don't think you can do this on any other wind synthesizer at the time of this video. And what it allows us to do is we've got endless possibilities of ways that we can layer up many different sounds to kind of get a hybrid sound. So in the second part of that demo that I just did, I was using a synth sound which was actually using 3 different tones at the same time. And I was using the octave doubling capability to give it a really kind of fat sound. So let's have a look at how we did that. What I'm doing here is I've got my editor open, and I've added some parts. So I've taken that original saw lead sound that I had, which is actually here on part 1. It's exactly the same as the settings we just talked about, but I've added a couple of other things. For some reason, I skipped part 2. I think I was experimenting. Here's part 3. This is now a sine lead, and notice a couple of things. I've moved the pan over to the far left. This is really going to thicken up the sound because we've got stereo output on the Aerophone. Haven't really made too many changes otherwise to that sound. And here on part 4, I've added a voice ooh sound. A lot of that Pat Metheny sound has that kind of voice sound going on, as well as the synths, which I try to kind of recreate a little bit here. It's a really cool sound. And so again, I haven't made too many changes here. I have panned this sound to the far right to give me a good sort of stereo field. And what I've done is I've played around with this attack. Now, the reason I've done this is that you can change the way that the voice sound actually starts. Sometimes the very start of the voice sound maybe can sound a little bit synthetic. So if you move that attack up just a little bit, you can get rid of the original bit of attack. But anyway, again, you can experiment with that. And just to show you under the control settings here, what I did is in this right-hand thumb setting, I made it that it actually goes up by 1 octave, H8, high 8, I'm assuming that means. And I clicked this button on the right here because that means I can switch it on and don't have to hold my thumb over to the right-hand side all the time that I'm playing that sound. I can turn it on and I can turn it off, and that's quite useful. For instance, in the solo of Have You Heard, I tend to turn that off because I don't want all those octaves going on while I'm doing the solo. So as you can see, there's lots of great possibilities here. There's another video coming up very soon where I'm going to show you some great things you can do with chords on the Aerophone. Anyway, please have a go at those settings. Remember, do subscribe. It really helps if you can. And please comment. And if you found some cool sounds that you want to make suggestions for us all to have a go at, that would be absolutely fantastic as well. Thanks again for watching. Another one coming along soon.